Testing, testing, Mario Waluigi. Okay, it works. Oh yeah, baby. Yeah, yeah. Oh, my hair is getting way too big. Oh wait, it's not that big. Okay. So we're gonna study until I have to drive my or drive over my sister. Same thing. All right, let's go. Pa 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 pa. Boom, chicka-ling, ding-a-ling-ling. Okay, let me some grammar rules that I must know because first I'm not the English guy. Second, ding-a-ling-a-ling. We have to watch all of this and understand all of this. If we don't understand it, it's bait. This guy, and let's also turn on unhold, which will like remove every single distraction. So now, comments. Very nice. Now, okay. Oh, I can't forget the music. We need the music. I hate the music. Turn it down. I mean that works. Yeah. You're kind of not nice. Let's also open. What's this environment for? It doesn't even say what. It just says 228. Wait. Okay, we're gonna study. We need to study. Be quiet. Let's study. Alright. My live streaming. You guys just read the description. I'm not
And in this video, I'm going to talk about the 10 grams to know for the SAT. An easy place to improve your SAT score because it's very. They don't ask about all of the complicated grammar rules in English. They really only ask about a limited set. I'm going to be able to get into all of them in this video. I'm just going to cover the top 10. But if you subscribe to my channel, you'll get information every time I release a new video that covers new grammar rule or one of these rules in much more detail. I'll put those videos in the description, so keep checking back. But this is really just meant to be able to get you started on your prep and just know which rules are the most to prioritize or rules you need to absolutely memorize if you're tomorrow. Make sure you watch this that you can see your points. But let's get into it. The 10th most important grammar rule has to do with commas indicate a break in the sentence structure. Now, the comma is probably the most important punctuation mark, and yet it's 10th on this list. And the reason is that commas have lots of rules hard to memorize, and so it's not really a good idea to memorize each individual comma rule. Instead, if we just memorize that they show a break in the sentence structure, then whenever we're told to put commas in the answer choices, we can just try to think about the overall structure of the sentence. In these two examples, you can see in what constitutes the independence, the main sentence that we're talking about in each case. And then the comma shows where we're adding on extra information. So in example 1, we have the main sentence in the middle, and then the commas are used to show where we're putting extra clauses at the beginning and at the end. Yet in the second,
after the party. Oh wait, let me like edit that. So this is called what you call pencil. I think that's how. Alright. He had to clean his house. So after the party, I think that's he had to clean. he had to clean. What did he clean his house? That's independent, which was a giant mess. Okay.
Example, we also use commas, but this time they're used to interrupt the main sentence and stick an extra clause right in the middle. The thing with commas is they're very unpredictable in the sense that there's lots of ways that we can use them to build. But no matter what's going on, pretty much always going to show that transition point between the main sentence and an extra clause. So we see them in the answer choices, try to pick the sentence and put it back together again. What are all pieces doing? How do they fit together? Sentence, where are your extra clauses? One of the most difficult places to do this, positives. Okay, now you know when a positive you never heard, definitely use your own writing. It's basically when we use an extra description to give us more information about the main noun in a sentence. So does it get commas or not? Well, it really depends. So in these two examples, we're basically saying the exact same thing. One of them has 2 commas, the other has no commas. In both cases, the bolded part is what I would consider the appositive, the extra description. What is an extra description of? Information about. Okay, together. What are all these pieces doing? How do they fit? Where's your main sentence? Where are your extra clauses? One of the most difficult places to do this is with appositives. Okay, you know what an appositive is.
No,
You've never heard that word before. Don't use this in your own writing. It's basically when we use an description to give us more information about the main noun in the sentence. So does it get commas or not? Well, it really depends. So in these 2 examples, we're basically saying the exact thing. But notice one of them has 2 commas, the other has no commas. In both cases, the bolded part is what I would consider the appositive, the extra description. What is an extra description of? It is a description of Naka. That's the main specific name that we're using to kind of center the sentence. The other piece, a molecular biologist at the University of Vancouver, is extra information about Hiroshi Tanaka. Now, when the main specific name comes first, we usually add the extra information afterwards using 2 commas. But when the main specific name comes second, the extra just kind of just flow into it without it. So that's the difference between the top and the bottom. In the top one, the specific name is first, so we use 2 commas to add the description after. In the second example, the main is second, so we can just come without any commas from the description to that name. It's very tricky.
So we can say a YouTuber who has 100 and almost 40 subs, Motashimo. You don't need no comments for that, but you need comments for the reward goes to Motashimo, comma, a YouTuber who has 400 subs. I mean 140 subs. So yeah.
Hopefully these 2 examples show you the difference between commas and no commas. Rules 8 and related. They both have to do with pronouns. Now, rule number 8 you can get wrong. First and foremost, we need to just know the difference between it's without an apostrophe and it's with an apostrophe. If we have it's with an apostrophe is a contraction for the 2 words it is. It behaves very similarly to there, where we have they are and the apostrophe contraction of those 2 words. Those words are almost never going to be right on the SAT. They're going to be answer choices, but they're usually wrong. What really matters is rule number 7, where we have to think about other versions of the words it's and there, the pronouns. And even though they do not get apostrophes, English is more about apostrophes later. Now, just know that it's without an apostrophe is singular possessive pronoun, and there is the plural possessive pronoun. So we need to think about whether or not the thing we're talking about is without an apostrophe is the singular possessive pronoun, and there is the possessive pronoun. So we need to think about whether or not the thing we're talking about is singular.
So its is singular and there is plural. It's her dog. It's and it's. They both sound the same. It's and it's. Different pronunciation. It's their dog. It's their dog. Wait, let me tell AI. If this is singular, it's her dog. Wait. Yeah. Is this also? It's let me see. This. Give me an hour. Let me think. Oh wait. This is one of the. It's her dog. Singular. Because her refers to one person. It's their dog. It's still singular. Belongs to one thing. Their plural possessive. Belongs to multiple people.
Plural, and that can get tricky. So be careful. Notice there's a sentence, the team won its game. Now, a team has lots of players on it, but it's one team, which is why we use the singular pronoun. Whereas the second version of the sentence is very similar. The players won their first game. Well, it's multiple players, so that's why we use the plural pronoun there. This is a rule that we often get wrong, so it's very important that when we see it in tested in the answer choices, we actually make to apply the rule. Don't just go by your instincts. Think about singulars and plurals. As I said, apostrophes are tricky because most of the time they're used to show possession. But as we possessive pronouns don't get appeased. When we see apostrophes on pronouns, contraction. But most of the time when they're on regular, they are similarly to there, and the apostrophe is showing the contraction of those two words. The answers are almost never going to be right on the SAT. They're good, but they're usually wrong. Because what really matters is rule number 6. We have to think about the other versions of the words it's and there, the possessive pronouns. And either possessive, they do not get apostrophes. English is weird. We'll talk more about apostrophes later. For now, just know that it apostrophe is the singular possessive pronoun, and there is the plural possessive pronoun. So we need to think about the thing we're talking about is for plural, and that can get tricky. So notice in the first sentence, the team it's first game. Now, team has lots on it, but it's still just one team, which is the singular pronoun it's. Whereas this in the sentence is very similar. The players won their first game. Well, it's multiple players, so that's why we use the plural pronoun there. This is a rule that we often get wrong when we talk, so it's very important that when we see it in getting tested in the answer choices, really make an effort to apply the rule. Don't just go by your instincts. Apply the rule. Think about singulars and plurals. Now, as I said, apostrophe, because most of the time they're used possession, but as we saw, possessive pronouns don't get apostrophes. When we see apostrophes, they are used for contraction. But most of the time, regular nouns, they're showing possession. Here in this sentence, the professor's assistants were late. Well, the professor possesses the assistants. They belong to him. The assistants, though, they don't possess anything, so there's no apostrophe on that word. So don't get confused between words with apostrophes and regular plurals. Most of the SAT tests apostrophes, we really just need to think about the apostrophe belongs in the sentence. So just think about yes or no. Now, that usually gets you the answer, but occasionally they'll ask about where the apostrophe goes on the word. So that's why I have dogs here written twice. If it's a singular noun, it usually is that we're going to add the apostrophe and the S. But if it's a plural noun, it already has an S, so we're just going to add the apostrophe. Like I said, though, that part of the rule rarely looks like it's coming up, but the first thing you should think about is whether you need an apostrophe at all. That might be enough to get the question right. Number 5 is about the double dash. Another punctuation mark that you might not find in your own writing, but is very easy to use. It behaves a lot like a comma. In this case, we have a sentence. The museum contains 200 examples of scripture dating back to the 17th century, and we're using 2 dashes to insert this extra piece in the middle. Artistic carvings into whalebone. That's basically just a description of what script. So 2 dashes where that extra piece begins and ends. Now, we don't have to use dashes. We could use 2 commas. We could use parentheses. But on the SAT, what's going to happen is they're going to make the decision for you they're going to use. So a lot of times, you're not really whether you need a dash or a comma. You already have made, SAT has already made the decision for you, and you're just making some metric decision at the beginning or the end. So just look out. If you already see a dash, it's probably the case that you need a second dash somewhere else to separate that extra clause. But again, even dashes really coming down to sentence structure. What counts as the main sentence? What is an extra clause? Another rule they really
please stop sleeping. Oh my goodness.
Whereas the second version of the sentence is very similar. The players won their first game, well, multiple players. So that's why we use the plural pronoun there. This is a rule that we often get wrong when we talk.
So we use it with the top comma s, which means it is, and they with the top. Ow, my hand! They with the top comma r, which means they are. So it's like a shortcut, like VIP, very important person. It's versus theirs. It means singular, and there means plural. The team won its game. Who won the team? The player won their first game.
So it's very important. We see it in getting tested in the answer choices. We actually make an effort to apply the rule. Don't just go by your instincts. Apply the rule. Think about singulars. Now, as I said, apostrophes are because most of the time they're used to show. But as we saw, possessive pronouns don't get apostrophes. When we see apostrophes, they are used for contraction. But when they're on regular nouns, they're showing possession. So we can see here in this instance, the professor's assistants were late. The professor possesses the assistants. They belong to him. The assistants, though, possess anything, so there's no apostrophe on word. So don't get confused between words with apostrophes and normal regular plurals. Most of the time at the SAT tests apostrophes, we really just need to think about whether the apostrophe belongs in the sentence at all. So just think about yes or no. Now, that usually gets you the answer, but occasionally they'll ask about where the time when they're on regular nouns, they're showing possession. So we can see the professor's assistants were late. Well, the professor possesses the assistants. They belong to him. The assistants, though, they don't possess anything, so there's no apostrophe on that word. So just between words with apostrophes and normal plurals. Most of the time with the SAT tests apostrophes, we really just need to think about whether the apostrophe belongs in the sentence at all. So about yes or no. Now, that usually gets you to the answer, but occasionally they'll ask about where the apostrophe goes on the word. So that's why dogs here, written twice, is singular noun. It usually is that we're going to add the apostrophe and the s, but if it's a plural noun, it probably already has an s, it's just going to add the apostrophe. Like I said, though, if it's a singular, the apostrophe goes on the word. That's why I have dog twice. If it's a singular, it usually is that we're going to add the apostrophe and the s, but if it's a plural noun, it probably already has an s, so we're just going to add the apostrophe. Like I said, though, that part of the rule rarely comes up. It may look coming up, but the first thing you should think about is whether or not you need an apostrophe at all. That might be enough to get the question right. Number 5 is about the double dash. Another punctuation mark that you might often in your own writing, but is very easy to use. It behaves a lot like a comma. So in this case, we have a sentence. The museum contained over 200 examples of scrimshaw dating back to the 17th century. Using 2 dashes to insert this extra piece into the middle. Artistic carvings into whalebone. That's basically just a description of what scrimshaw is. So the dashes indicate where that extra piece begins and ends. Now, we don't have to. We could use 2 commas. We could use parentheses. But on the other
Goodness.
Okay. 17th century up, but the first thing you should think about an apostrophe at all, that might be enough to get the question right. Number 5 is about the double dash. Another punctuation mark that you might not use very often in your own writing, but it's very easy to use. It behaves a lot like a comma. So in this case, the museum contained 200 examples of scrimshaw dating back to the 17th century. 2 dashes to insert this extra piece in the middle. Artistic carving, that's basically just a description of what scrimshaw is. The 2 dashes indicate where that extra piece begins and ends. Now, we don't have to use dashes. We could use 2 commas. We could parentheses. But on the SAT, what's is they're going to make the decision for you which one is they're going to use. So a lot of times you're not really deciding whether you need a dash. You already have made the already made the decision for you, and you're just making a cold decision at the beginning or the end. So just look. If you already see a dash, it's probably the case that you need somewhere else to separate that extra clause. But again, even dashes, it's really coming down to sentence structure. What counts as the main sentence? What is an extra clause? It really gives us trouble. Number 4 here is verb agreement. And the reason this is so high on the list, even though it's not a rule that's tested very often, is that it's very tricky. And if we know to look for it, we're actually really likely to get these points. What's going to happen is if we see verbs, our brain is instantly going to go to past, present, future. And that does get tested, but usually that's very easy. So when we see these kinds of choices, it's going to be like, oh, do I need the is, the present, or the was, the past tense? But that's not always what matters. Instead, try to think about singulars and plurals the way we do with pronouns. Singular verbs usually end in s, and we know those verbs we have a singular subject, the something that does the verb. And so we need plural.
Please.
Our is the present tense or the was, the past tense. But that's not always what matters. Instead, try to think about singulars and plurals, similar to the way we do with pronouns. Singular verbs usually.
What?
Did you call my name?
No, I said please, not my D's.
End in s, and we need to use those verbs when we have a singular subject that does the verb. And so we need plural verbs when we have a plural subject. And a lot of times this is easy to recognize because one of the answers will be singular and the other three will be plural. And so you're like, okay, the singular one's right because then the plural three are wrong, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So this is just about recognizing a rule that otherwise is going to be disguised on you. So make sure that you remember that this rule exists, because honestly, that's half the battle of questions right. The next rule is colons. And this is another case where we have a tough time because we have a rule of price. We are told for some reason that colons are used for lists.
No, they're not.
This is a fake rule. This is not really true. Yes, some lists are going to have colons, but on the SAT, most lists do not have colons, and most colons are not used for lists. So that is not a reliable way to think. Instead, you want to think about this sentence. For all punctuation, that's really what is the structure of the sentence. Before colon, we need to have a full sentence, okay? Well, we can have lots of different things. We can't have a sentence with just one word if we really want to. And usually that second point to explain or answer some sort of implied question. So you can see in the examples, I have one fear. That's a sentence. Is that one fear? Spiders. He was furious. That's a sentence. What was he furious about? Someone had stolen his favorite painting. So you can see that's how the colon works.
So can I just say, like, I'm so fat. No, wait, you cannot break it. It's not a sentence. You can say I'm getting fatter because of my diet, and then colon, burgers, chicken nuggets, and pizza. Right?
If we see it in the answer choice, the first thing you want to check before the colon is a complete sentence that could stand on its own and end with a period. You could also sometimes use a single dash to replace a colon. There really isn't any difference between the two, so just be the dash can also come in one, is being used just like this as a colon. So again, you'd want to have a complete sentence beforehand. Next rule also has to deal with sentence structure. You can theme here, punctuation sentence structure is a very big SAT. Now there are lots of ways to join two complete sentences on the SAT. Colon is one of them, but a more common way that we say in our own writing is using a comma and a conjunction like and, but, or, so. These are to join two sentences together. But when I do it, we need to have a comma as well. Usually a conjunction by itself is not enough, and a comma by itself is not enough to join to this. So you can see here in the example, I'm late to the meeting. That's a sentence. We end a period, right? The presentation is not in my briefcase. The sentence, it can stand alone. So if we're going to join them together in conjunction, we also...
The presentation is not in my briefcase. But isn't that two independent sentences? I'm late to the meeting. Okay, that's independent. The presentation, what happened to the presentation? It's not in what? The briefcase. Oh.
So need the comma. This is because the common way that we do every day in our own writing is using a comma and a conjunction. A word like and, but, or, so. These words allow us to join two sentences together. But if we're going to do, we need to have a comma as well. Usually a conjunction by itself is not enough, and a comma by itself is joined to complete sentences. So you can see here in the example, I'm late to the meeting. That's a sentence. We get in a period right there. The presentation is not in my briefcase. That's a sentence. It can stand alone. So when together with a conjunction, we also need the comma.
Oh my god, I keep on falling asleep.
Now there are that punctuation and sentence structure is a very big part of the SAT. Now there are lots of ways to join two complete sentences on the SAT. Sometimes a colon is one of them. But a more common way that we do every day in our own writing is using a comma and a conjunction. A word like and, but, or, so. These words allow us to join two sentences together. But if we're going to do it, we need to have a comma as well. Usually a conjunction by itself is not enough, and itself is not enough to join to complete sentences. So you can see here in the example, I'm late to the meeting. That's a sentence. We get a period right there. The presentation is not in my briefcase. That's a sentence. It could stand alone. So if we're going to join them together with a conjunction, we also need the comma. This is tricky because in real life, if the sentences are short, we actually don't need the comma, but on that's not going to happen because the sentences will be long enough. So just pay attention. Anytime you see punctuation coming, going, and the answer choices, it probably matters for the entire. You should think about sentence structure because we need to decide whether or not we're connecting sentences in a legitimate way or creating a run-on by not doing it the right way and using only a comma or only a conjunction. And that brings us to our final rule, which is also about sentence structure, and it's probably in a way the easiest.
Stop sleeping!
You should think we're connecting sentences in a legitimate way, or if we're creating a run-on by not doing it the right way and using only a comma or only a conjunction. And that brings us to our final rule, which is also about sentence structure, and it's probably the easiest way to get 10 points on your SAT. Know how to use a semicolon. Okay, a semicolon is basically the exact same thing as a period. You need to have a complete sentence both before and after the semicolon. So in examples, they're both sentences. You personally would probably use a period to separate them. We could use a semicolon, and there literally is no difference. The only reason to use a period is more normal. The semicolon is kind of weird. It really doesn't have much of a function beyond a period. That's kind of strange. So the most useful way to think about semicolon in the SAT is to think about the multiple choices that you're going to get. You have two answer choices, and the same exact wording, but one is a colon and one is a period. Cross both out. They both are saying the exact cause a semicolon is a period. So they both are the same. They cannot both be right, so they must both be wrong. And that now doubles your option right. So there's one thing to remember from this video. It's this. If you see a semicolon, period, answer choices, cross out both the answer choices.
Right. If you see a semicolon and a in the choices and the wording is the same, should you always cross them out? The answer most likely no, because you have to check. Let's see. Oh my god, I need to make coffee. Oh wait, what? Yep, that's a trick. When you see semicolon and a period choices and have identical wording, you are almost always cross out both. You can almost always cross out both immediately. Here's the cheat. Both create a full stop. They separate two complete sentences. So if the wording of them is the same, that's grammatically correct. The SAT keeps one correct answer, correct version of the sentence. So if both are identical, period is a full sentence. If both sides are independent cause, semicolon connects two related independent cause. Connects two related independent cause. If both sides are independent cause and likely closely linked. Can you give me an question that has a semicolon and I spelled "and" wrong? I can't believe myself. And please stop with saying wording the SAT. Also, sleepy.
In the case of both wrong, out that stuff confusing you. Hopefully, you got more than just that out of this video though, so make sure that you subscribe to get more information, more details on these rules. I really hope though that they're a way to get some extra points on the test if you're taking it tomorrow, or if you're starting in your prep. Really great thing.
Bro, I can't believe I fell asleep 3 times already. Oh, wow. Okay, what I'm gonna do, I have to watch another video. Oh my goodness. Top 10 city grammar rules you must avoid. Yeah, section 3, okay. Well, while I do that, let me try to do this. I think I should test this today. Better not be. It's Saturday. No, I'm doomed. I'm doomed. I'm doomed. I'm more than doomed. And for this people, I met this guy before he became popular. Um. So I'm hungry. Oh wait. Okay, so I should eat some rice. I mean, I didn't eat breakfast today. The right, that's why I'm falling asleep. But I can't stop the flashing. I didn't. I hear like a bug. Microsoft whiteboard for Microsoft account is being retired. Wait, what? No. Microsoft whiteboard for Microsoft account is being retired starting from August 22. Is it what is January? No, July. January, March, April, May, June, July, August. No, it's like next month. Soon we're able to create or edit whiteboards. Oh, any whiteboards to keep before September 5, after which they will be permanently deleted. What? Okay, let's sort out this. Yeah, how's it? Is it so beautiful? Well, it's doing that. It's like, can't believe like whiteboard. Like you know, it's lunchtime. That's literally what I said. Let's do a brain dump, okay? I'm so sleepy. I'm like actually so sleepy. Let's do a brain dump. So a brain is writing out everything you know, and this. Oh, you can see my mouse. So let's write everything. Oh, no, I accident something. Alright. Stop it. Stop. You know, okay. Actually, it doesn't go away, but in your screen, you don't open task manager. Doesn't matter. Stop using 100% of my CPU. Oh, my CPU. Oh my goodness, it's actually using 100% of my CPU. Give me my CPU back. Okay, nice. It's still at 1%. And Google, I mean, Mike is using all the CPU, 62% to be exact. What's it going to use so much CPU? GPU process. Um, don't worry, MATLAB knows how to live with 1% CPU. Technically, the CPU is melting in there. Alright, so, write a brain dump. Okay, let's talk about everything about English. Alright, first is the grammar. Alright, grammar, which is all about, it's all about what? First, period. Period equals to stopping an independent sentence and stopping an independent sentence. Yeah, that's right. Must have it. Wait, it only matters if the first one is independent. It doesn't matter if the before, right? Yeah, okay. Next one. Comma. Oh wait. So independent, comma. Wait, no, fully stop. Independent. That's how it goes. That's how the story goes. Alright, comma. What do people use for comma? What do people use comma for? People use comma for making having an independent sentence with independent also yeah yeah no I can just bam bam. Alright, let's do this fast because I have to eat and my dad wants to eat. So, having a dependent sentence. Having a independent sentence. Plus, no. Yeah, plus, also, or just also, what else? Also can be used as a useless sentence. Independence. Is it independent sentence? Yeah, independent sentence. Then comma. Then comma. Wait, I can't see. Oh, it's over there. Wait, isn't this like notepad? Like, oh, okay, I didn't know it was there. Okay, let's put it down. Independent sentence. Comma. Useless or useless. Hey Siri, how many S does useless have?
Okay, I found this on the web. For how many eggs does useless have?
Eggs? Never mind, useless has S. I mean 2S. Okay, my Indian accent makes her think I said eggs and not S. Independent. This thing can also be like, you can also move the useless and the sentence will still make. How do you spell sense? Hey Siri, how do you spell make sense?
Makes sense. M-K-E-S-S-E-N-S-E.
S-E-N-S-E. Okay, but for this one, independent sentence plus a fanboy or fanboy. Yeah, the word fanboy is not what it used to be back then. Fanboy or fanboys? I think fanboys. For and nor, but or yet so. It's hey Siri, what is fanboys?
A fanboy is someone who is excessively devoted to a specific topic of interest.
No,
It can also
not that. Fanboys in SAT English. I swear. I swear. Okay. Okay, so the last one is so. We got it. So. I was so scared that's gonna be bad part. Alright, having a dependence with independent sentence. Wait, no, let's rephrase that. Delete the fanboys. Having having a sentence to add independent sentence. Wait, independent clause? What did I say? I see independent sentence or independent clause. Fanboys. Oh, wait, I have to call fanboys. Then independent clause. Is it always independent? I don't really know. Let's look that up. I'm looking it up. You know what? Fanboys in. I just say SAT. I just said say. SAT English, not say English. Okay. The core rule. When a fanboys connects two complete standalone thoughts, clause that could be their own sentence, it requires comma immediately before the conjunction. Incorrect. Study hard for the test. It was still very hard. This is a run-on sentence. Hard for this test. Oh yeah, that's also a correct one. I studied hard for the test, comma, but it was very hard. I mean, very difficult. Okay, so the trap fanboys plus semicolon. A common trick on this is pairing a fanboys conjunction with a semicolon. Oh wait, is this because you can't see what I'm reading? La la la. A common trick on the city is pairing a fanboys conjunction with a semicolon. Simple. And what? You never use a semicolon with both words when trying to do it. Incorrect. I have to go to a park. Semicolon and it started. I said semicolon, not Siri. Two different stuff. Correct. I want to go to the park. And it started doing. What the is really testing. This is testing. You memorize the word itself, right? It's testing. Both sides of it. If it's in. What is I've sufficed class before the fanboys. Complete sense. So it's the class after the fanboys complete sense. The answer is to both is yes, you must use the comma plus. When okay, so when should you just when is a good time to use just a comma? There's so what our fan was having a sentence and using the comma to add another deep independent independent clause. Having an independent clause and using to add another sentence which can be dependent. You can never use just a comma to complete sentences. Doing so creates an error called the comma save. Without fanboys, comma has very specific jobs. Separate items in the list. Yeah, I forgot about that. Using comma to separate 3 items in a series. In entity as let's use the octagon before the front end. Example, the study analyzes data from France, Germany, and Japan. Haha, Germany. Okay. Wait, define Germany? Define Germany. Wait. Oh wait, no. Setting of exchange information. Use a pair of commas to surround information that is nonsensical. One. So if you can cross the word without the sentence, and the sentence still makes use commas. Dr. Schwarzenegger will Shania led new research project. Dr. the new research project. I mean, nah, that doesn't really make sense. New photo memory. Oh. After the introduction, a dependent clause. This sentence starts with the dependent fragment. Fragment. Often staying with words like although, because, it's wow. You must place a comma right after the main sentence. So, although the experiment, comma, the scientists learned variable that the sentence starts with dependent fragment, often staying with although, because, if, since, when, well. You must place a comma right after the main sentence. Sorry. Oh. You can't just go like all experiment failed, the scientists learned and variable that. I mean, yeah, it kind of goes. But who is this guy? This guy looks. Is this guy Jack? Oh my goodness. Okay. Although the experiment failed, comma. It says although because if, since, when. What? Or wife. No, that's what. Okay. Joining an independent clause with a dependent modifier. Oh no, modifier. You can use a single comma to connect a full sentence to a distinct that modifies it. Usually the end of the sentence. The team won the championship, breaking a 10-year. Wait, what? Independent clause. The team, what did they won? What did they win the championship? Okay, the independent sentence. The team. You can use a single comma to connect a full sentence to a dependent that modifies it. Oh, this is dependent breaking a 10-year losing streak. 10-year losing streak? Oh. Okay, yeah, that's a dependent clause, also known as non-scoring. But yeah, the golden rule for SD punctuation is finally yes. This very not and click yes. Okay. Complete sentence plus comma plus complete sentence equal wrong. What? Comma. Oh yeah, wrong. Complete sentence plus comma plus fanboys plus complete sentence. Correct. Okay, so when there's a fanboy, it's full sentence. Complete sentence plus semicolon plus complete sentence. Correct. Yeah, practice that later. I am so hungry right now that if oh my goodness, it's 1:29. Damn, time really goes. Okay, let me do my outro. Yo, the button is so small.